Hey, this is Kevin, showcasing my Papal Army of the Italian Wars. As you all know, I really love this period, and many of you have already seen my French, my Landknecht or Imperial armies, but this one yet I have not put up. Oh, I put up my Swiss as well. So there's 3 of them up on YouTube. This is now the 4th. And this is one of my favorite periods, because I think that if there ever was a period in which warfare changed the face of the world, this was probably it. The organization changed, the pattern of war changed, and it was really a war over who owned northern Italy. Oh, well, all of Italy, actually. And it was just a world in conflict. And it was where I think that there was a lot of development in warfare and politics of the time, with effective infantry firearms, drilled foot soldiers. You still had siege guns and English longbowmen and crossbowmen and arquebus and the knights. You had a lot of things in flux and change. Armored, pike groups, the emergence of trained forces, and those not so trained. So medieval armor didn't just vanish because of the all-conquering bullet, even though it became kind of a bit of a risky pursuit for these upperclassmen. I don't think that it went away. And so you had a period of time that was in turmoil. You had the French ravaging through northern Italy. You had the Habsburgs. You had all the Italian city-states of Venice and Genoa, Florence, Milan, Piedmont, Sardinia, Naples, the Papal, and all of them fighting for their rights and expansion. At the same time that you had the military organization and the use of military weapons changing. And I think it's a time of pageantry, the Landknechts and the Swiss, heavy cavalry and their use on the battlefield, and mounted arquebus and mounted crossbowmen. You had everything in here, and artillery, and I just think it's a very colorful, wonderful period of time. And yeah, this army is also done just over the past, let's say 2 months, and let's take a look at it together and see what you think. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to mention is that this isn't just for the Papal States. You can use this army for the Habsburgs. You can morph it into a French army, because they switch sides back and forth. And it's quite versatile. You can use it for either side, which is really nice. Well, hi, this is Kevin again, showing you customarily my favorite army. If you haven't noticed, it seems to be all of them. But this one is a very large army, as you can see. This is the Papal Army of the Italian Wars. And I just finished it maybe a couple of days ago, and I'll try to give you a little bit of a flavor for it. But I really enjoy gaming and modeling and painting for the Italian Wars, and I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes. But that is my command stand. I kind of searched high and low for figures that I thought were going to be suitable. And here we've got a cardinal, and we have one of Pete's flags for the Papal States. I just had his sheet, so I wanted to go ahead and use them. The figures are from Curacao on these, but I think they turned out great. And that's a great command stand with the cardinal leading it. I like that. And of course, he's got his wagon that's come in. I built a cross and on it, and of course the papal flag, and hand painted a banner of Maria and some other things on it, and put some monks walking alongside of it. And I think that just turned out much better than I thought. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But anyway, that's kind of the center point. And I'll go to the rest. These are also from Kyrgyzstan. You should have seen those on my previous video of painting these up. So I just painted those up. That's my own thought based on what I've seen in museums. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to paint up a Papal Guard knight unit. Okay, it maybe is borderline on the fantasy, but it is what it is. I really like that. So might as well continue with the rest of the cavalry. I'll start with the wings, of course. This one here is these figures here are from Merlington. I think they're absolutely stunning figures. Very interesting as far as their the way that they did their armor. They paint up very nicely, and if you put them with really nice flags and mix them up, I think those just make two very nice Italian, or one large Italian knight force. I'm kind of backing away. The way that I built this army was not just a papal army, but an army of the Italian states led by the Pope. So there's all kinds of different contingencies in here that rallied to the Pope's banner. The Habsburg, the Spanish, I've got Milanese, I've got Florentines, I've got the Papals themselves, and different Italian states that sent units to support the Pope and support the Italian states. And so that's kind of how I built it. Not all just one theme of red and white, but of course we'll get down there, as you can see towards the end. Yeah, so anyway, that's the knights on the one flank. I've got, of course, in Morian helmets and the rest, I have a lot of mounted arquebus. These are from Essex, and they're older figures, but I think that they repurposed extremely well. The command for that wing, there's some figures in there from Blue Moon, there's some in there from Kyrgyzstan, and so that just kind of really, I think, turned out to be pretty nice. But sometimes I mix up figure manufacturers and who they might be. This one here, these are all Merlington as well, and painted up to be various different Italian states and Italian contingencies or whomever. I think they turned out extremely nice as well. So coming down here, these are some of the new Papal crossbowmen, a mounted crossbow that I painted. They're from Kyrgyzstan. Kind of wanted to give them a little bit of that red-white theme, which is kind of the theme I had for my papal states. Anyway, that's the commander fighting under the papal banner. There's different kinds of cavalry units, Stradiots and light lancers from Spain and from the Borges and various other Italian families. These are also Merlington. Those are signed up for the papal states and other various different contingencies, Siena and Florentine, and of course my Spanish knights from Habsburg that are mercenaries that decided to rally to this particular cause. But I think that they turned out extremely nice, and those are from Blue Moon. So I really enjoyed doing those. And of course then the commander. So the other cavalry on this wing are now more mounted crossbow, more generic. They could morph into any army. other different states and allegiances, more arquebus, and light stratiot cavalry. So there's actually a lot that you can do with this army of different morphing things in and out or taking them in and out. And so you would have found this all in an Italian wars army, whether it be French, whether it be Italian, whether it be Habsburg or Spanish or wherever else. It pretty much, that's what you would find. So let's take a look at the infantry. Okay, so I'm just going to start here. I've got some different units of halberdiers from Blue Moon, but I think that they turned out right. And I've mounted them on 40 by 40 stands. You'll notice that because sometimes I use them as tiny units versus larger units, and I can split them up behind the pike block. These were just some hand cannoneers I had. These are probably more for the late 1400s, but you would have found them in Italy. At some point, I wouldn't use them for my later armies, but I painted them up anyway. I don't like having unused painted figures laying around. So these are just more I've got a lot of arquebus, that's for sure. So there's 2 whole units there. I've got my cannoneers, mercenaries and landknechts, and I bought these from Khorasan, so just painted them up the way I thought they could. These are from Corpus Belli, and I've had them. This is more of a condotti. That's an idea of the Milanese, I think, with a front row of pavis with crossbow coming in from Milan to support the Pope. I think they look fantastic, and of course they've got Renaissance armor on, they've got medieval armor on, and I just think that basically from the 100 Years' War, some things just didn't change, that they used whatever they could. I've got another row here of arquebus of different kinds, so you can see I've kind of mixed them in, which I think is very, very nice. Getting to the pike block, I've got a couple of units of Papal pike. That's one of them. And then I've got, of course, a little bit more of the larger tercios that might have supported the Papal Army or the Pope or whatever else. So that's three units of Spanish pike or Habsburg pike, and then another unit of Papal pike. I think they turned out great. I really, really like them. And of course, a couple more pieces of artillery. I try to do my best on these things, and I think they turned out pretty nice. And then, of course, another unit of arquebus, another unit of halberdiers that can be pretty much used for anybody, but I've got papal flags on them, and flags of different Italian families of the time. And of course, I've got the same unit here, a papal unit of pavis with crossbow, all ready to support the Pope. Anyway, I think that's pretty nice. And I've got a couple of units here of pavis spear that I painted up using some of Pete's flags and some of my own. And then I have a front line here of various crossbow and artillery pieces, and very, very nicely sculpted, I think, arquebus. Those are also from Merlington. I quite like them. And there's just a whole bunch of different kinds of units that can be brought in and used at any time. Anyway, I hope that that you enjoyed this. This is a very large army, but it was one of labor of love, and I think it turned out exactly the way I would have liked it to turn out. Thank you very much for watching.